Okay, so the video that has been highly requested is finally here. The best cold email copy to get clients. In this video, what I'm going to do is walk you through how to write cold email copy that actually gets responses and actually gets replies from people who are interested. I've been using cold email to get clients for basically the last 7 years, and I've made more than $10 million with appointments that have come from cold email. And the first thing that you need to understand is to understand your prospect. So when you're writing cold emails, the best way to write a cold email is with the person you're writing it for in mind. Now this might seem obvious and it might seem pretty clear, but what a lot of people do is they write emails and they write copy that they think is appealing to them. But instead, what you need to do is every single word, every single sentence that you put into your copy and everything that goes into this email that you're writing needs to be filtered through the question of, does this make sense to the prospect? And you should know your prospect, so you should know your market, you should know your niche. And what I can tell you is that the strongest point of leverage, the biggest point of leverage in writing cold email comes from your market research and the diligence you've done on the type of person you're writing to. Now, I'm not talking specifically about personalizing the email or doing tons of research on the business or the person you're reaching out to before emailing them. That's not as important. But you need to understand every nook, cranny, and crack of the psychology of the market and the people that you're reaching out to. For example, you need to know their fears, you need to know their desires, you need to know what belief systems they hold, you need to know everything. What do they worship? What religion do they believe? Like, just everything you can possibly comprehend amalgamated into this thing that we call an avatar. If you understand the avatar of your market on a level that nobody else does, then you'll be able to write things that appeal to them. And this is how professional authors do it. So let's say that you are, for whatever reason, an erotic novel writer. And let's say that you write, books for young women that are like considered erotic or whatever. Let's say you're a man and you're writing, these sorts of books. If you write what would appeal to you erotically, then it's probably not going to land with the target audience you've got being, housewives or women in their 20s or 30s or whatever. And this is what people do when they try and write cold emails, is they write what they think looks cool to them, what reads well to them, but what reads well to your market is going to be entirely different to you unless you are your market. So just bear that example in mind of the man trying to write an erotic novel appealing to women, but using language, terms, archetypes, phrases, stories, narratives, characters, etc., that appeal to him as opposed to his audience. Always think about the person you're writing for, and you cannot go wrong. The second thing is that when it comes to writing your copy, you need to understand that the best copy, the best email copy, is nothing more than a good offer. So what a lot of people try and do with their cold emails is they try and get really fancy with, their copywriting skills, and they try and flex their copywriting muscles and use all these little tactics and strategies, and those work. The psychology, the techniques that you can deploy, the alliteration, the break lines, all these little strategies work. But 80%, 90% of the results that you get from your cold email come from stating a clear, concise offer. An offer is simple. It's basically, you should know this, you've been in the space for long enough, right? It's just outcome, time frame, risk reversal. If the outcome is appealing, as in it gives the person an incentive to continue their attentive measure, i.e. their curiosity, and the time frame seems realistic and reasonable, and there's some strong risk reversal in there or implication of risk-free potential of outcome, then you're going to get their attention. And a lot of people say to themselves, like, oh, well, I can't make a good offer because my product's not good enough. Well, this is why it all comes back to the product, and it all comes back to the offer. Because if you haven't got a good product, you can't have a good offer. And if you haven't got a good offer, then you can't have good email copy. So the secret to growing a business, drum roll please, trumpets please, is just having a good product. So you need a good offer. You need to state clearly and compellingly what you do, how long it takes you to do it, and what happens if it goes wrong. And that needs to be stated in a concise manner that is directly appealing, using language that appeals to them. And if you do that, honestly, you can throw the rest of it out. Like, it doesn't get much more simple than that. Like, the best cold email copies I've ever written have literally been, hi name, here's my offer, what do you think? As opposed to spending all this time, like, when you see people writing emails that are like paragraphs long, like the best cold emails I've ever written have been like very, very short and very concise. maybe a few lines, but never more than 2-3 lines at any given time. And the email needs to be able to be skim read in basically under like 5 seconds. If someone actually has to think to read your email, then they're not going to read it because they're just going to bin it. The next thing is the subject line. So what subject line should you use to accompany the email copy or the offer encapsulation, this entity, right? The subject line is very simple. You just don't overthink it. You just email them as if you're emailing a friend or a family member or someone you already know. So when you think about the subject line that you would use, you need to break patterns and you need to basically invoke curiosity, and you don't sell in the subject line. You also don't sell in the preview. So when you receive an email in your inbox, you see the subject line and then you see the preview, right? And then you see the name of the person who's emailing you. So, you know, what you want to do, there's 3 things to optimize here: the name, the subject line, and the preview. Because what we want to do is get the email open. All we're trying to do with these 3 things is get them to click on the email to open it. We're not trying to book appointments, we're not trying to get clients, we're not trying to get sales, we're just trying to get this person's attention and get enough curiosity for them to be like, oh, I should probably open this just in case. And so what you can do is you can edit your email account name to sort of break a pattern and pattern interrupts a little bit. And that's a fun strategy that I like to use. Like for example, once I used to email people from the name Charlie Birthmark, because of the birthmark, right? But like I just experimented with this, and I try around with completely weird, wacky surnames and first names, and like, you don't want to get too far afield with this because then it looks weird and it looks spammy, it looks scammy. But where you can, you want to sometimes put a surname or a middle name or a first name that someone's never seen before, and they're like, what the hell? Like, you know, I don't, or like for example, like you can use famous names from the industry. So if I was reaching out to fitness coaches to try and get them to book appointments, then what I would do is I would call myself Charlie Schwarzenegger or something like that. Or I'd call myself Charlie Bumstead, Chris Bumstead, right, Mr. Olympia. You want to take famous names from your industry and bolt them all as your surname, because then this person, it's just small, but it's a little pattern interrupt, and it will make them stop and then read the subject line. For the subject line, simple. You just put something like quick question, or got a question for you, or inquiry about business name, or important note for name. Like we're not stating the offer. We're not saying like 20 clients guaranteed in 6 months in the subject line or anything like that. It's just concern for Charlie, or like, you know, you can create curiosity here. Like one subject line I used to use is I'm a little worried about Nate, or insert name here. And then they click on it, because why the hell wouldn't you click on that? If I received an email like that, I'd click on it. And then if you're smart with like your preview and stuff, it has to match. So the next thing is the preview. The preview gives context to the subject line. So what someone will do is they see the name, they see the subject line, then they see the preview. And the preview is the first 1 or 2 lines of text in the email, and you better bloody hope that it supports the subject line. So if I use the subject line like quick question for blank, then the preview will say, hey blank, I have a question for you regarding your business, regarding, you know, insert business name here. Hope you don't mind if I list it below. They have to click on that email because they don't know what it's about. They don't know who the hell this person is. They don't know, they'll click on it, right? But if you were using the subject line like, I'm a little worried for blank, then the preview could say something like, hey Nate, Charlie here, I just came across this on your website, I'm a little concerned about it. We can fix it, you know, and then you go, well, it could be an SEO pitch, could be a marketing pitch, whatever, right? But you need to be able to marry the subject line and the preview together, and then you transition into the pitch, basically the offer. So for me, what that would look like is simple subject line, preview that matches the subject line with a pattern breaking name, and then straight into an offer. So for example, from Charlie Schwarzenegger for fitness coaches, subject line, I'm worried about John, preview, hey John, Charlie here, I just found this on your Instagram and I'm slightly concerned about it. The concern is that you're not getting as much, your conversion rate is probably half what it could be. My offer is to double your conversion rate in the next 90 days, completely guaranteed all your money back. What do you want to have a chat about that? Here's a loom I recorded. That would be like a good cold email. Very punchy, to the point, pattern interrupt. And all we're trying to do is get people to read our offer, because the offer should do the talking. The next thing is never ever talk about yourself. What a lot of people do with cold email and cold outreach specifically is they feel the need to justify themselves to the prospect, and they overshare drastically the amount of, they overshare information about themselves. So they'll say, this is how long we've been in business, and this is when we were established, and this is our team, and this is how much results we've got, blah, blah. There's a time and a place to use social proof and to leverage some authority about how long you've been in business before, but it shouldn't contain any more than a few words, and it shouldn't be any more than like 5%, 10% of the email. People overshare and they basically over-justify themselves and their business. What you want to do is seem like this vague thing, this weird person who's not weird, but this thing that this person can't quite understand that feels a bit weird to them. If you give them all of your information and then your website and then your social handles and then you've got your email footer with all your crap in it, which we'll talk about in a minute, then it completely strips you of any like air of curiosity or air of you know, superiority, so to speak, and the person won't reply. So don't talk about yourself. Like, you don't need to, the word I should only go in there once or twice, you know, or me or we. Like, it needs to be you, your, never I or me, right? You can talk about yourself every now and then, but honestly, I wouldn't do it too much, because you're just gonna get into this weird ego trap where people don't care. People care about themselves and the outcome that you can help them deliver. If you're not talking about them, their outcome, or the time in which you can do that, then they don't care. Now, you can use information about yourself every now and then to bolster your point, like, oh, and we've done this for this amount of clients, but it needs to be almost always relevant to them, if that makes sense. And the last thing is no crazy footer. So people have the most freakish email footers and they destroy conversions, they destroy deliverability. The only footer that you need to have is thanks, first name, and then your address. Now, not actually your address, just a major city that the prospect will recognize. So what I used to do is sign off my emails with thanks, Charlie, and then what I do is I put E with a little colon with my email, so they could just, if they wanted to find my email, they could just, it was there, but it looks a little bit official. And then below that was A for address, colon, and then I basically put like some fancy address in London. I think I put like the Shard or something, right? And I made that up, I won't lie to you, but you know, you could say like, you know, Office 5, Manhattan, New York City, New York. Like, no one's gonna look it up, right? And it's a white lie, and I'm not telling you to lie to prospects, but there's a lot of subtle authority built into certain locations in the world, and you can leverage them with little to no consequence in your email footer. Don't have your social profiles, don't have a call to action in your footer, don't have anything crazy, just a nice, simple, thanks, Charlie, here's my email, here's my address, so you know that I actually mean business. And then also you can put your phone number if you want as well, if you want to look extra legitimate, put your phone number in. People won't call it. You'll get one call in every like 1,000 emails you send, and then you can just book them in. If they do call you, you just say, what's this about? Oh, it's about this email you sent me. Oh, no worries, man. How about we book in a call to discuss it tomorrow at 3 p.m. Appointment booked, pretty simple. Yeah, that's the email footer thing. Just be careful with that and don't mess it up. In terms of the actual call to action, there's two types of call to actions that you can do. This is the last point. You can do a direct CTA or an indirect CTA. Indirect CTA, the second one, is where you say, if you'd like to explore this, just reply and then I'll send you some information. Direct CTA is, do you want to book a call? If you're going for an information-heavy cold email, so you're sending like a PDF with information or a Loom with information that contextualizes your service and your offer in a little bit more clarity, then you have permission to ask for a call. If you're just going in blind, cold, with a very skinny email with not much words in there, then you need to ask them, if this interests you, please reply one word yes, and I'll send you some information, to which you then book a call. I prefer loading the email with more information, but never in text format. So what you can do is you can say, I've attached a resource to explain how this works, or here's a video of me explaining. I much prefer the video. I've never tested the attachment thing before. I know it works, especially if it's relevant to them and you can use AI to like create AI audits and stuff of their website or their business. That can work, but people a lot of the time don't trust attachments from strangers. So I like embedding a Loom link or some other sort of GIF or something that might explain it like in a brief slideshow format. That's something we're going to test, by the way, is like making a video GIF of a slideshow walking through like slide by slide how the product works and stuff, and we're going to test that and embedding it natively into an email to see if that brings about attention. Like click on the GIF if you want to see how this works, and then do you want to book a call? So that's basically the best practices for writing cold emails. By the way, you clicked on this video because obviously you clearly need help getting some clients. I don't say clearly in like a I don't mean to be a dickhead there, right? Clearly you need help. But no, you don't, I don't mean like that. What I'm saying is, it seems to me, if you're this far into this video, that you need help getting more clients. There is a link in the description you can click that explains how we can help you do that. We've got a bunch of systems relevant to cold outreach, cold email, inbound, outbound, paid ads, like everything under the planet you can think of. We are the best in the world at booking appointments, and I think we can help you get more clients. So if you want to check that out, you can. There's a link in the description. If you don't want to click it, I don't care, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way, might be useful to you, might not be. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.